Aaron had never traveled so far from Earth before. The stars stretched in every direction like a sea of light, and he often found himself standing by the viewport of the ship, staring out into the endless dark. The peace mission had been announced only a year earlier, but now he was here, on a vessel that carried both hope and doubt. The crew around him was small. There were only 7 humans, all chosen for different reasons. Some were experts in language, some in science, and some in diplomacy. Aaron was the youngest, a man in his early 20s with little experience compared to the others. His role was simple: an assistant, someone to observe, record, and learn. Yet deep inside, he carried a strange excitement. He had grown up reading stories about humans meeting alien life, and now he was about to witness it himself. The alien world appeared below them, a bright sphere covered with green continents and wide silver seas. The closer they came, the more detail appeared. Cities glowed with crystal structures that shimmered in the sunlight. Their pilot announced that they were entering the landing path approved by the Alien Council. Everyone gathered their belongings and prepared for the first step onto new soil. When the ship touched the landing platform, the humans felt a soft tremor through the floor. The air outside was rich, filled with oxygen but carrying scents unlike Earth, floral, yet sharp, almost electric. The hatch opened, and Aaron followed his team down the ramp. Waiting for them was a group of tall figures. They were elegant, standing straight with long limbs and smooth pale skin that almost glowed. Their eyes were the most striking feature: large, shimmering like gemstones, holding colors that shifted when the light moved. They wore flowing garments with silver lines that caught the sun. At the center of the alien group stood one who was different. She wore a crown made of thin crystal branches and a robe of deep blue. She was younger than the elders beside her, though her presence was strong. The humans had been told she was Princess Nira, daughter of the High Ruler of this world. The human leader, Dr. Ilya, stepped forward and bowed politely. He greeted the aliens with words that had been prepared and translated. The alien elders responded with their own formal speech, their voices calm and melodic. Nira did not speak. She only watched, her bright eyes scanning each human with patience. Aaron felt her gaze pass over him, and for a moment, he forgot to breathe. He quickly lowered his eyes, telling himself that he was only an assistant and should not attract attention. Yet something about her eyes stayed in his mind. The ceremony of welcome continued. Both groups exchanged tokens of peace. The humans offered a crystal sphere from Earth that contained a map of the solar system, while the aliens presented a small living plant that glowed softly, pulsing with light as if it carried a heartbeat. Everyone admired the gifts. Then the elders invited the humans to walk with them through the city. The city was unlike anything Aaron had ever seen. The buildings were tall but not harsh. They curved like trees, grown from crystal and stone. Light flowed through them as if the walls themselves carried energy. Paths were lined with bright plants that hummed softly, and small creatures flew above them like silver birds. The air was alive with color and sound. As they walked, Aaron noticed that Princess Nira stayed near the front, silent and graceful. She did not speak to her people or to the humans. She only looked and listened. Aaron wondered what she thought of them. Did she find humans strange? Did she feel the same curiosity he felt? At one point, the group stopped near a fountain where water rose and floated in glowing spheres before falling back into the pool. The elders spoke again, explaining the meaning of the fountain. Aaron found himself standing a little apart from the others, adjusting the small recorder he carried. When he looked up, he found Nira standing not far from him. Her eyes met his again. They were a deep shade of silver mixed with blue, shifting as the water's light reflected on them. Aaron felt his heart beat faster. He had not prepared any words, but something inside pushed him to speak. "Your eyes are beautiful," he said softly. The words left his mouth before he had the chance to stop them. He froze, realizing he had spoken out of turn. He expected her to frown or turn away. Instead, she stood still, her lips parted as if she wished to say something but could not. Her gaze remained locked on him, and for the first time since he had seen her, her calm expression changed. The silence stretched longer than he expected. The elders noticed and glanced at the princess. One of the humans beside Aaron whispered his name in warning, but Nira did not react to them. She only stared at him, speechless. Finally, the elders continued their explanations as if nothing had happened, but the moment between Aaron and Nira remained heavy. She did not speak again, nor did she look away from him until the group began moving once more. As they walked through the rest of the city, Aaron felt uneasy. Had he broken a rule? Had he offended her? Yet her expression had not been anger, it had been surprise, deep and powerful. He could not understand why simple words about her eyes had caused such a reaction. Later that evening, the humans were given guest quarters inside a tall crystal tower. The rooms were bright and peaceful, with wide windows showing the glowing city below. The team gathered to discuss the day. Dr. Ilya spoke of the success of the first meeting and warned everyone to remain careful with their actions. When the discussion ended, Aaron stayed near the window. He thought again about Nira. He remembered the way her eyes had caught the light and the way she had gone silent at his words. He wondered if he would see her again and if she would ever speak to him. He did not know that elsewhere in the city, Nira sat in her own chamber, still thinking about the young human who had spoken the forbidden compliment. In her culture, to speak of someone's eyes was no small thing. It was a phrase that carried meaning of truth and spirit. No stranger, no outsider, should have spoken it. Yet he had, and she could not deny the effect it had on her heart. The night deepened over the alien city, but both Aaron and Nira remained awake, caught in the memory of a single moment that neither of them had expected. Morning light spread across the alien city like liquid silver. The tall crystal towers caught the sun and scattered it across the streets below. Aaron awoke in the guest quarters with the faint sound of singing outside. When he opened the window, he saw groups of aliens moving through the streets, their robes flowing as they carried baskets of glowing fruits and crystal tools. The city was alive, yet peaceful. His teammates were already awake, preparing for another day of talks. Dr. Ilya reminded them all to remain respectful and careful. Every action mattered because the alien council was watching closely. Aaron nodded, but inside his mind, one thought repeated again and again. He could not forget the moment from yesterday when he had spoken to Princess Nira. Her silence haunted him. He had spoken simple words, but the weight of her reaction was far beyond what he expected. He did not know if he had offended her or touched on something sacred. Either way, he needed to understand. The humans gathered with their alien hosts in a grand hall. The hall was filled with floating lights that moved like gentle stars, and the walls were carved with patterns of flowing rivers and trees. Elders sat in a circle, their tall figures glowing under the light. Nira was present as well, seated near her father, the High Ruler. She did not look at Aaron, but he felt her presence like a strong current in the room. The talks began. The elders and Dr. Ilya exchanged words of peace. They spoke about trade, knowledge, and sharing of science. The humans listened carefully, taking notes. Aaron tried to focus, but every so often, he glanced at Nira. She remained quiet, her hands folded, her eyes lowered. Then, after an hour of discussion, one of the elders spoke in a slow, deep voice. His words were translated into human language by a device placed on the table. Among us, the elder said, words carry power. Yesterday, one of your young ones spoke words that shook the silence of our princess. We must know the truth of his heart. All eyes turned toward Aaron. His chest tightened. He felt the gaze of his own team, the stern eyes of the elders, and above all, the calm yet intense stare of Nira. He stood slowly, unsure what to say. I spoke only what I felt, Aaron said. His voice trembled at first, but he forced himself to stand tall. I meant no harm. I only saw beauty in her eyes, and I said it. That is all. A murmur spread among the aliens. One of the elders shook his head. For us, to speak of the eyes is sacred. It is not said lightly. The eyes are the mirror of the spirit. Only one who sees truth beyond form can speak it. Your words were not empty, young human, but we must learn if they were careless or honest. Dr. Ilya stepped forward, alarmed. He is only young. He did not know your ways. Surely his words can be forgiven. But the elders did not agree. The high ruler raised his hand, and silence fell across the hall. His deep voice carried weight. Ignorance does not remove meaning. If the words were spoken, they carry power. The princess herself has remained silent since then, for she feels the weight of those words. If the young human wishes to stay among us, he must prove that his spirit is true. Aaron's heart pounded. He did not understand fully, but he knew that his simple compliment had opened a door he could not close. He bowed his head. I will do whatever is asked of me, he said. Nira finally looked at him. For the first time, she spoke, her voice soft yet clear. The trial will show the truth. Her words were few, but they struck him deeply. She was not angry. She was not dismissing him. She was giving him a path forward. The meeting ended with that decision. The humans were uneasy, whispering among themselves. Dr. Ilya pulled Aaron aside once they returned to the guest quarters. Do you understand what you have done? Ilya said firmly. We are here to build peace, not to play with traditions we do not know. Your words have forced their hand. They now expect you to prove yourself. If you fail, it will not only shame you, it could damage our mission. Aaron lowered his head. I did not mean to cause this. But I cannot take back what I said. If their trial is the way to show truth, then I will face it. Ilya sighed. Then you must prepare. Listen carefully, observe, and do not let your feelings blind you. That evening, Aaron walked alone in the gardens outside the tower. The air was filled with glowing flowers that opened when touched by the wind. He sat by a pool where silver fish swam in circles, and he thought about what lay ahead. As he sat in silence, he heard footsteps. He turned and saw Princess Nira walking toward him. Her robe moved like flowing water, and her crown reflected the moonlight. She stopped a short distance away. You spoke of my eyes, she said softly. Aaron stood quickly, unsure how to answer. Yes, he admitted. I should not have spoken without knowing your ways, but I meant the words. I was only honest. Nira studied him for a long moment. Among my people, those words are spoken only when the spirit of one touches the spirit of another. No stranger has ever spoken them to me. No one outside my people has ever dared. Aaron swallowed. If I have offended you, I am sorry. She shook her head gently. You did not offend. You surprised me. I could not speak because the words carry weight I did not expect to hear from you. That is why the council demands the trial. It will show if your spirit is shallow or true. What kind of trial is it? Aaron asked. Her eyes glimmered in the moonlight. It is not of strength or knowledge. It is of the heart. You will face visions drawn from your own mind. You must walk through them with honesty. If you lie to yourself, the trial will crush you. If you remain true, you will pass. Aaron felt a chill run down his spine. I understand, he said quietly. Nira took a step closer. For the first time, her voice carried warmth. Do not fear. Truth does not belong only to us. If your heart is honest, you will find the way. She turned and walked away, leaving Aaron with a strange mix of fear and courage. He knew now that this was not just a test for him, but for all humanity. His words had drawn attention, and now the trial would decide whether humans could be trusted at the deepest level. That night, as he lay in his bed, he could not sleep. He thought of the elders, of Dr. Ilya's warnings, and most of all, of Nira's eyes. He had spoken without thinking, yet those words had changed everything. The silver moon rose high over the alien city, and in the stillness of the night, Aaron prepared himself in silence. He did not know what visions he would face, but he knew one thing clearly: he would not lie to himself, no matter what came. The following morning came with a quiet tension. The human team gathered in the crystal tower, waiting for instructions. Outside, the city moved as always, glowing with light and life, but inside the tower everything felt heavy. Aaron sat apart from the others, his hands clenched together. He knew that today he would face the trial the aliens had spoken of. The elders arrived just after sunrise. They entered the hall with slow steps, their tall figures casting long shadows on the shining floor. Princess Nira walked behind them, her expression calm yet unreadable. The High Ruler raised his hand, and all voices fell silent. Today, the ruler said, the young human will walk the path of mirrors. His heart will be tested, and his truth will be shown. If he stands honest, he will be honored. If he fails, he will not remain among us. Aaron stood and bowed his head. He felt the eyes of both humans and aliens on him. Dr. Ilya whispered a last warning in his ear. Remember who you are. Do not lose yourself. Aaron followed the elders through the city. They passed beneath high arches, across bridges of glass, and down into the base of a great tower. At the end of a long hall stood a tall crystal door. Its surface shimmered like water, and strange patterns shifted across it as if alive. This is the entrance, an elder said. Inside, the chamber will draw from your spirit. You will see visions born from your fears, your hopes, and your secrets. You must walk through them without turning away. Only truth will guide you. Aaron nodded, though his throat was dry. He stepped forward and placed his hand on the door. At once the crystal rippled, and the surface opened. He walked inside, and the door closed silently behind him. The chamber was vast, yet it had no clear walls. Light floated in the air like drifting stars, and the floor shone like glass. Aaron took a step, and the surface echoed beneath him. Then the lights began to swirl, and the first vision formed. He found himself standing in a field from his childhood. The grass was green, the sky blue, and the sound of birds filled the air. At first, he felt comfort. But then he saw shadows moving across the field. Figures appeared, people he knew, faces from Earth. They spoke in voices full of doubt. You are too small for this task, one said. You do not belong among them, another whispered. You will bring shame to your people. Aaron's chest tightened. These words struck at his own fears, fears he had carried since leaving Earth. But he forced himself to breathe. These are only doubts, he said aloud. I know I am not perfect, but I will walk forward anyway. The shadows faded, and the field dissolved into light. The next vision came quickly. He stood on a battlefield. Smoke rose into the sky, and broken machines lay scattered. He saw humans and aliens facing each other with weapons raised. A voice shouted from behind him. Choose, Aaron. Choose your side. He looked and saw Dr. Ilya on one side, calling to him. On the other side stood Nira, her silver eyes glowing. Both reached out their hands, urging him to come to them. Aaron felt torn. The pressure to pick one side grew heavy, but deep inside, he knew the vision was false. I will not choose between them, he said firmly. We are meant to walk together. I will not betray either side. At his words, the battlefield vanished, and peace returned. The third vision was darker. Aaron found himself standing alone in a room of mirrors. Each mirror showed a different version of himself. One was older, dressed in fine clothes, surrounded by wealth. Another was powerful, standing tall with respect from others. Yet another was cruel, holding others down. Each version called to him. Take me, one voice said. You could rule, another promised. You could be admired by all. Aaron stared at them. Part of him felt tempted. Who would not want power or respect? But then he remembered Nira's words about truth. He placed his hand on his chest. I do not need to be more than myself. I am only Aaron, and that is enough. The mirrors cracked and shattered into light. He walked onward, and the chamber grew colder. The fourth vision rose before him. He stood in darkness, and from the shadows came a figure Nira herself. But her eyes were filled with disappointment. You spoke to me, she said. You claimed to see me, yet you do not understand. You spoke empty words. You are nothing but a careless stranger. Aaron's heart sank. Her words felt sharp, and fear spread through him. Was it true? Had he spoken carelessly? He forced himself to stand firm. No, he said, his voice shaking but steady. My words were not empty. I may not know all your ways, but I was honest. I spoke from my heart. That truth does not change. The figure of Nira faded, and warmth returned to the chamber. Finally, he reached the end of the path. A single light rose before him, glowing bright and pure. He stepped into it, and the visions dissolved. The chamber grew still once more. The crystal door opened behind him, and he walked out into the hall. The elders waited in silence. Nira stood among them, her eyes fixed on him. The high ruler stepped forward. The trial has ended, the ruler declared. The chamber has shown his spirit. He faced fear, temptation, and doubt. He stood with honesty. He has spoken truth. The elders bowed their heads slightly, acknowledging the result. The humans watching gasped with relief. Dr. Ilya closed his eyes, whispering thanks. Then Nira stepped forward. For the first time since their meeting, she spoke clearly and without hesitation. True, she said, her voice carrying across the hall. The single word echoed in Aaron's mind. He felt his chest lighten, and warmth spread through him. He looked at Nira, and for a moment, he thought he saw a small, quiet smile on her face. The high ruler raised his hand once more. So be it. The words he spoke to the princess were not careless. They carried the weight of truth. From this day, he will be honored as one who has passed the path of mirrors. Let this be remembered. The aliens bowed their heads in respect. The humans stood tall with pride. Aaron simply breathed, trying to steady himself after what he had faced. As the group returned to the city, Nira walked near him. She did not speak again, but her presence was close, steady like a guiding star. Aaron felt that something had changed between them. A bond had begun, fragile but real. That night, as the city glowed under the silver moon, Aaron lay awake in his chamber. He thought of the visions, of the choices he had made, and of the single word Nira had spoken. True. It was only one word, yet it was enough to give him strength for whatever came next. The morning sun bathed the alien city in warm silver light. The towers shimmered as if the very walls were alive, and the streets below hummed softly with the rhythm of life. Aaron awoke with a mixture of relief and anxiety. The trial had passed, but he knew that the path ahead was still uncertain. His thoughts returned to Princess Nira. She had spoken one word, true, and it had changed the course of his stay. Yet he did not know what that word meant for the future. Would she accept him among her people? Could he remain on this world without causing further conflict? The humans gathered for breakfast in a hall with floating lights and transparent tables. Dr. Ilya watched Aaron carefully. "You have passed," he said quietly. "But passing is only the beginning. The princess is not yet ready to speak freely to you. Be patient, and do not force her. That is the way of their people." Aaron nodded, but his mind wandered. He could not help but wonder what it would mean to stay. The trial had shown his spirit, but the true choice lay ahead. After breakfast, the humans were led to a council chamber. The elders had prepared a meeting to discuss the results of the trial. Aaron walked beside Nira, who remained silent, her hands folded and her eyes focused straight ahead. He felt the warmth of her presence, but he did not know if she felt the same connection he did. The High Ruler began the meeting. "The young human has passed the path of mirrors. His spirit is honest, and his heart is true. Yet his place among us is not determined solely by the trial. There is a choice that must be made. He may return to his people, or he may stay here and walk with the princess as an honored guest and observer." The humans whispered among themselves. Aaron's mind raced. To return home meant safety and familiarity. To stay meant an uncertain future on a world he barely understood. Yet something inside him pulled him forward. He thought of the city, the people, and most of all, the quiet moments with Nira. One of the elders, a tall figure with skin that shimmered like pearl, spoke. "To remain is not merely a matter of desire. The human must show willingness to learn our ways, to respect our customs, and to honor the bond that has begun. This is a heavy responsibility. He must decide freely and without hesitation." Aaron swallowed and took a deep breath. "I am willing," he said, his voice firm. "I wish to stay, to learn, and to walk beside Princess Nira. I do not know everything, but I am ready to try." A murmur ran through the chamber. The elders nodded slowly, acknowledging his words. The High Ruler looked at Nira, who had not yet spoken. Her eyes met Aaron's, and for the first time since the trial, her expression softened. "You choose to stay?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but there was an edge of curiosity in it. "Yes," Aaron said. "If I may, I will learn from your people and from you. I will honor your ways and speak only truth." Nira studied him for a long moment. Then she inclined her head slightly. Very well, she said. But understand, life among my people is not easy. You must observe, listen, and act with care. There will be many lessons, and not all will be simple. Do you accept this? Aaron met her gaze without hesitation. I accept. The High Ruler raised his hand, and the council acknowledged the decision. Then it is settled, he said. The human will remain, and his presence will be watched, but not interfered with. Let the bond begin. The meeting ended, and the humans returned to their quarters. Aaron walked through the city, taking in the sights. The floating lights, the glowing gardens, and the quiet music of life made him feel both welcome and small. He knew he was an outsider, but now he also knew he had a place, however tentative, in this world. That evening, Nira invited Aaron to walk with her through the gardens. The air was filled with glowing flowers that opened when touched by wind, and soft pools reflected the sky like mirrors. Aaron followed her quietly, unsure of what to say. After a while, Nira spoke. You chose to stay. Many humans would not. You could have returned home and left this world behind. Why did you choose to remain? Aaron thought for a moment. Because I want to understand. Because I want to show that humanity can be more than fear and conflict. And because I felt that I could not leave knowing that I had started something here, even if I do not yet know what it is. Nero listened. Her eyes glimmered with light. You speak honestly. That is rare among outsiders. You see not only what is visible but also what lies beneath. That is why your words touched me before. That is why the trial could not destroy your spirit. Aaron felt warmth rise in his chest. I did not understand at first, he admitted. I only knew that your eyes felt different. That they carried something important, and I wanted to acknowledge it. Nira's gaze softened further. Eyes show truth. They show fear, hope, and courage. Your words recognized that. That is why I could not speak, and why now, you remain here. You have begun a journey few outsiders ever walk. They walked in silence for some time, each step echoing softly in the garden. The glowing plants seemed to bend toward them, sensing the presence of two hearts connected by understanding. Finally, Nira spoke again. You must remember that staying here is a choice every day. Every action you take will be observed. Every word you speak will carry weight. Are you prepared for that? Aaron nodded. I am. I will try to honor your trust and your people's ways. I will speak only truth, and I will act with care. I do not know everything, but I will learn. Nira's lips curved slightly in a small, almost imperceptible smile. Then we begin, she said. The next days passed with lessons and introductions. Aaron met scholars, artisans, and healers of the alien city. He observed their daily lives, learning how their society functioned, how respect and honor shaped every action. He listened more than he spoke, recording details in his notebook. Every day, Nero walked with him at least once, guiding him through lessons, sometimes in silence, sometimes with words of advice. He learned the meaning of their rituals, the importance of silence in thought, and the value of seeing truth without judgment. He began to understand why the simple words he had spoken the day before had carried so much weight. One evening, as the city glowed under twin moons, Nira approached Aaron with a small crystal in her hand. This is for you, she said. It is a symbol of the bond that has begun. Carry it with respect and remember that your presence here is not for self alone. It is for all who watch, for all who believe in peace between our peoples. Aaron accepted the crystal with reverence. "Thank you," he said. "I will honor it. I will honor you and your people." Nira nodded. "Do not speak lightly. Truth must be in every action, not only in words. That is the way to remain worthy of this trust." As Aaron held the crystal, he realized that the choice to stay was more than a decision. It was a responsibility, a promise, and a test that would last every day of his life. Yet he also knew that it was the right choice. He felt that he had begun something important, not only for himself but for humanity. That night, Aaron lay awake once more, thinking of the journey ahead. The city was quiet, but the lights outside his window shimmered like a reflection of hope. He thought of Nira, of the trial, and of the trust that had been placed in him. He knew that challenges were still to come, but he also knew that he would face them with honesty and courage. The choice had been made. The human would stay. And in doing so, he would show that humanity could rise not only through technology or strength but through honesty, courage, and the ability to see truth in others. The alien city awoke under a sky of shifting silver and blue. The towers reflected the light of twin suns, casting long streams across the streets below. Aaron stepped out of his quarters, feeling the weight of his choice but also a growing sense of purpose. He had stayed, and every action from this moment on mattered. Princess Nira awaited him near the gardens, where the glowing plants pulsed gently in the morning light. She did not smile, but her eyes shone with quiet acknowledgement. Aaron walked toward her, feeling that familiar mix of curiosity and respect. "Today," Nira said, her voice calm but steady, "you will see the city in a new way. Your role among us will begin in practice, not only in learning. You must observe and assist, not as a guest, but as one who walks beside our people." Aaron nodded. "I am ready." They moved through the city, passing scholars, artisans, and healers. People turned to watch them, not with suspicion, but with quiet interest. Aaron felt a mixture of pride and humility. This was not simply a test of courage or words anymore. It was about showing that humanity could respect and integrate with another world, not through force, but through honesty, curiosity, and care. Their first stop was the Hall of Records. The elders greeted them and explained the purpose of the hall. "Here, all knowledge of our people is preserved," one elder said. "History, art, science, and lessons of morality are recorded for those who seek wisdom. To learn here is to understand the foundation of our society." Aaron watched as Nira guided him through the hall. She showed him how to read the records, how to observe without judgment, and how to ask questions with care. Her guidance was patient, her instructions clear. Yet she did not offer easy answers. Aaron realized that she expected him to think deeply, to understand not just the information but the meaning behind it. Later, they walked to the central plaza, where a crowd of aliens had gathered. A demonstration of skill was underway. Artisans worked with light and crystal, creating shapes that floated and shifted in patterns that seemed almost alive. Aaron watched with wonder, noting the precision and harmony in every movement. "Every action here," Nira said softly, "is meaningful. Even the smallest gesture can carry weight. You must remember this, for you will represent humanity in every action you take." Aaron absorbed her words. He knew that the trial had tested his heart, but this was a test of life itself. The bond he was forming with her and her people would not be proven through words alone, but through every choice, every step, and every effort to understand and honor them. As the day progressed, Nero led him to the Tower of Learning, where the youngest scholars of the city gathered. They welcomed Aaron with polite curiosity. He spent hours observing their studies, helping where he could, and asking questions that showed respect for their knowledge. He learned quickly that even small actions, listening carefully, offering assistance, or showing patience, were noticed and valued more than grand gestures. By evening, the city glowed in the light of the twin moons. Aaron and Nira walked along the elevated paths that connected the towers. The glow of the plants below reflected softly on their faces. Aaron felt a quiet peace. He had been accepted, not fully yet, but enough to know that his presence mattered. Nira broke the silence. You have shown patience and respect today. You acted not from desire for recognition, but from the desire to understand and contribute. This is rare among outsiders. Aaron looked at her. I try to be honest, as I promised. I do not know all your ways, but I want to learn and honor them. That is all I can offer. Her eyes softened, and she gave a small nod. Your honesty is clear. That is why your presence here can be more than observation. You can be part of what builds trust between our people and yours. You carry the possibility of connection, not just for yourself, but for all humans. The words struck Aaron deeply. He realized that his journey was no longer only personal. It was also symbolic. Humanity had a chance to show that it could rise above fear, misunderstanding, and selfish ambition. Through truth, courage, and respect, humans could earn a place among the stars. As the days passed, the bond between Aaron and Nira grew, not through words of affection, but through shared experiences and understanding. They worked together in the gardens, observed the scholars, and spent quiet moments in the halls of learning. Each day, Aaron saw more of the depth of their culture, the care in every decision, the thoughtfulness in every action, and the way the community honored truth above all else. One evening, Nira invited him to the Fountain of Reflection, a place where water floated in glowing spheres above a circular pool. The fountain was known to reflect the hearts of those who gazed into it. You have walked your path honestly, Nira said. Now, you may see yourself as others see you. Do not fear what appears. Aaron looked into the water. At first, he saw only himself, a human alone in an alien world. Then the reflection shifted, showing him not only alone but with Nira, learning, observing, sharing, and standing with the people around him. The reflection radiated trust and harmony. It is more than I imagined, Aaron said quietly. I feel part of something bigger now, not because I am human, but because I have chosen to act with truth and care. Nira's eyes shone with quiet approval. That is why your words carried weight at first. You saw me as a being with spirit, not merely a form. That insight allowed a bond to begin. It will grow as long as honesty guides your actions. Aaron felt hope bloom in his chest. The fear that had accompanied him since arrival had faded. He understood now that humanity's place in the galaxy was not won by strength or technology alone, but by the ability to act with courage, honesty, and respect for others. Weeks turned into months. Aaron continued to walk among the people of the city, learning, assisting, and sharing moments of quiet understanding with Nira. He saw how small actions created harmony, how respect could build bridges stronger than walls, and how truth could inspire trust where fear might otherwise rule. The bond between him and Nira remained quiet but strong. Words were fewer than gestures, shared experiences, and mutual understanding. The people of the city began to recognize Aaron as someone who carried the spirit of humanity in a way that resonated with their own values. One day, as Aaron helped the artisans with a delicate project of floating crystal forms, the High Ruler summoned both him and Nira. They approached the ruler's chamber with careful steps. You have both shown that the bond between your people and humanity can be strong, the ruler said. The trial, the choices, and your actions have proven that respect and honesty can create connection across worlds. Let this day be remembered as the beginning of a new era. The words were clear, yet more than words they were acknowledgement of what had been achieved through courage, truth, and the willingness to walk an unknown path. After leaving the chamber, Aaron and Nero walked to the gardens. The city glowed around them, alive with movement, light, and song. Nero looked at him with an expression that held both pride and quiet acknowledgement. "You have done well," she said. "Your spirit has been seen, and your presence is accepted. But remember, the bond is not completed by a single act. It grows each day, through every choice, every effort, and every honest word." Aaron nodded. "I understand. I will continue to act with truth and respect. I will honor this bond and what it represents." Nero's lips curved slightly in a small, serene smile. "Then we walk together," she said. "Not only as human and alien, but as allies and witnesses to what is possible when courage and honesty guide action." As they walked, Aaron felt a sense of peace and purpose unlike anything he had known. He had come as a stranger to an alien world, spoken a simple truth from his heart, faced fear and doubt, and chosen a path that required courage and patience. In return, he had gained acceptance, understanding, and the beginning of a bond that could inspire change for both humans and aliens alike. Under the silver light of the twin moons, Aaron realized that humanity had begun to rise among the stars not through conquest, but through honesty, respect, and courage. And the journey was only beginning. The city slept peacefully, yet the promise of new understanding glowed in every crystal tower, every floating light, and in the bond between the human and the alien princess. It was a future shaped not by weapons or power, but by the courage to speak truth, the willingness to learn, and the ability to see others with eyes that recognized spirit and heart. And in that quiet moment, Aaron understood fully that he had found more than acceptance. He had discovered the power of humanity at its best, a force capable of inspiring trust and friendship across the stars. The bond had been made. The path had been chosen. And the story of humans among the stars had truly begun.